Good evening. Tonight we're going to continue with our Unit 4, Lesson 28. Represent and solve word problems with mixed numbers by using drawings and equations. Tonight's lesson is going to be short, but we're just going to be practicing with a few word problems and being able to break it down. There are 6 3/8 pizzas on a table when lunch started. At the end of lunch, there were 2 6/8 pizzas left. How many pizzas were eaten during lunch? Well, I'm going to show you 3 different ways of drawing these pictures for this read, write, and process. And read, write, and draw, We can do something called counting on, where we put the total in our number bond. And our number bond is, the first part is 6 3/8. And we know that what was left over was 2 6/8. We just don't know what the other side of this number bond is. So what we would have to do is we could break it down and subtract one side from the total, and we could say that 2 6/8 plus 3 5/8 is going to give us 6 3/8. This is the missing part of the number bond, and we could do that by counting up all the way till we get to that to that total of 6 3/8. We can also something called decompose the total by creating this tape diagram and showing that this section we do know what was left. It was 2 6/8 left over of the pizza. We just don't know what this section of the tape diagram, which would represent the unknown of how much was actually eaten. Because we started off with 6 3/8, and then we would be able to subtract to find the missing part of this tape diagram, which would be 3 5/8. Then the last one that we could be doing is we could just be doing subtract the ones first and then rename the total. So again, just following another tape diagram, putting the total on the top and showing that this section is what's left, 2 6/8, and then be able to subtract to find this part of the tape diagram to get 3 5/8. Ray bikes 4 4/10 kilometers. Zara bikes 2 7/10 kilometers. So by using this small little word problem, we're going to have 2 parts, questions to help break this down. How many more kilometers does Ray bike than Zara? Well, remember with the word, this part right here, how many more? We know that that means subtraction. So we're going to take 4 4/10, and we're going to subtract it with 2 7/10. Okay. We could also, by showing this by using a tape diagram, and the tape diagram could show this right here. And, we could say that this whole thing represents 4 4/10. We know that one section of this would be 2 7/10, and then we got to figure out the missing part of that tape diagram, which we would use by using subtraction. Then it's going to ask us, how many kilometers do Ray and Zara bike all together? Now, when we say together, we know that means addition. So we could make another tape diagram. We don't know the top, but we know that we could take this side, which would be 4 4/10, and then 2 7/10, and just add them both up, and we're going to solve for x, the unknown. So this is basically the read, write, and draw process. But here, to break it down even more for you, rename the total to subtract and make the next whole number. So here is what Ray did. This is what Zara did, but we just don't know what this section is, and we would use subtraction to figure that out. When we want to talk about how they get the total, and then we just know this section right here is missing, we could find that by doing addition and solving for that missing variable. Remember, a variable is a letter that stands for a number and it's unknown. And we break it down by using equations to solve for those variables. Chopsticks are hard. Well, sometimes it just takes a lot of practice. Jaden went swimming last week for 3.5 days. This week he went swimming for 4.5 days. How many days did Jaden go swimming? And I want to see your read, draw, and write process. Pick one of those strategies to figure out how many days he actually swam for. And I want to see those equations. Keep going. Almost there. All right, we'll practice this more tomorrow. These word problems can be tricky, and being able to do the read, write, and draw process can take some time practicing with those tape diagrams. Have a wonderful night.